As Christmas Day draws nearer, you may be wanting a break from the festivities and fancy a little Quo fix. Or you may be wanting to buy a gift for that Quo fan in your life and have settled on a DVD or Blu-ray and not sure where to go with it because there are so many releases over the last sort of 25 years or so. Well, I'm going to give my free recommendations of fairly recent releases that are relatively easy to get hold of. So let's start with a DVD-only release from 2015, released to coincide with a compilation album. This is Accept No Substitute. This is somewhat of a spiritual sequel to that mid-80s video compilation, Rockin' Through the Years, which at that time compiled a bunch of videos onto one VHS, and I'm sure there are many fans out there who absolutely wore it out. But the thing is, it wasn't exactly comprehensive. This, although I think there are some early ones missing, has a lot more in there. I mean, there are 67 music videos spanning from Pictures of Matchstick Men all the way up to Bula Quo. So no matter what your preferences with Quo, you are bound to find something in there. And that is even more emphasised by the bonus features, because we have a little bit of the 1970s via one song from the Beat Club session, and that doesn't sound like much from 1970, but it's Is It Really Me Gotta Go Home, which is like 25-30 minutes, and it's just the Frantic Four going at it, and it's utterly spellbinding. I love kind of the interplay of musicianship between Alan Lancaster and Francis Rossi there. They're kind of exchanging licks as they just go completely down into the groove, provided and boosted by Rick Parfitt and John Coghlan. So you have that on there for your 70s fans. For those who grew up in the 90s and, you know, went to see the band live in the 90s, there's a bit there for you as well. It's a soundboard recording plus the cameras they would have used at the time, so it's not like a professional recording, but it's certainly a record of where they were in 1996 live at Wembley Arena. Then finally you have live at Download Festival in 2014, so in the more recent category. So all in all, this is a varied release, and I'm not sure if the videos, certainly those of the 70s, have been remastered, but it's just nice to get them all in one place. So this comes highly recommended, and I should say that these are in no particular order. These are specifically just free recommendations. So I've just recommended a release which is kind of like a scrapbook. You've got little bits from over the years which you can pick and choose at your pleasure. But this is a full-length documentary. I think the extended length of this is like 2.5 hours long, plus bonus features, which again is like another 2.5-3 hours or so. And this is Alan G. Parker's 2012 documentary Hello Quo, which has the complete story of the band up to that point, plus a reunion at the end of the Frantic Four lineup: Francis Rossi, Rick Parfitt, Alan Lancaster, John Coghlan, which on its own is worth the price of admission. I think there is a cut down version with a black sleeve. I think that is a slightly has a slightly shorter runtime and doesn't have the bonus features. But if you're looking for this film and its bonus features, this is the edition on DVD and Blu-ray to get, because to hear from pretty much every member that's ever been a member of Quo, except for I think Roy Lyons and Pete Kircher, is utterly brilliant. You know, to hear different stories, not just from them, but as it says on the back here, from Brian May of Queen, Joe Elliott of Def Leppard, Thin Lizzy, Buzzcocks, Slade, Paul Weller, Cliff Richard, Midge-Ure. Like there is a huge amount of interviewees for this film that just gives you like a rounded image that covers every era. Now, the bonus features include a Francis interview at Brighton, Hailing Island, which is Rick reuniting with the Harrison twins, who he performed with before joining Quo. He was performing with them around the time that he met the band in 1965. There's also a special feature with Francis Rossi and Alan Lancaster walking around old haunts and telling stories, which is well worth a watch. There's lots of different things on there. I mean, this, when it came out, was like, oh my goodness, I need to devour everything. In addition to the documentary and the things I mentioned, at the end of the documentary, as I said, there is a reunion between the Frantic Four. The whole thing, including the little jam and stuff, is included on here, which is well worth a watch, because they play a lot of riffs that you don't particularly hear them play that often, you know, and they revisit things and they try stuff, and it's really interesting. And this, as a piece of history, you know, it led to the Frantic Four reunion tours. Speaking of which, my last recommendation is a concert film of the Frantic Four in 2014, the Frantic Four's final Fling. Now, yes, I know they released one the previous year of the 2013 reunion tour, which I was very lucky to see them on. It was amazing. It was so good to see the Frantic Four back on stage, or for me, the first time ever, you know, to feel that, to hear these musicians playing together and hearing a lot of very rarely heard songs from the main band. But I unfortunately didn't get to go the next year, and I was gutted. Not just because I'm a huge fan, but because the next year it felt like it was maybe just a little bit more refined, and they added stuff in there. You know, there were little additions that made it more Frantic Four centric, like an extended version of 4500 times. My goodness, I mean, that alone is worth the price of admission. And to hear the diddle-a-diddle-a-diddle, it's just like hairs on the back of the neck as you hear them all coming together. And so, yes, I would kind of favour this one over the previous one. You may have different opinions. Now, in terms of buying for a Quo fan, if they are more casual, then this maybe isn't for them, because it doesn't have Rockin' All Over the World on it, and it doesn't have, you know, Whatever You Want and anything, you know, from after 1977, 76, 77. But we do have Caroline, and we do have Down Down, which is their only credited #1 single. And so, you know, there are these things, you know, and you just get bowled over by it. I'm struggling to come up with words for it now because I just love it so much. So yeah, this is my third recommendation. I mean, look at the joy on Rick's face as he's watching Alan Lancaster sing there. Such a great photograph. So those are my recommendations for DVDs or Blu-rays where you might just want a Quo fix, or you're buying for the fan in your life. So we have a bit of everything, an epic documentary and an absolutely epic concert. What more could you ask for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also click the subscribe button if you're new here as well. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Quo-Cast. Bye bye for now.